Hello everyone. I wanted to spend some time today talking about and reviewing the new Deep Purple album. The title of the album is Whoosh. It was released on August 7th, 2020, so a little over a week ago now. And this is their 21st album in their catalog. They have had a very prolific career and now have released an album in quite a few decades: the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now the 2020s. So what an impressive career they have had. They're one of my very favorite bands. And of course I was excited to hear the news that they were going to release, at this stage in their career, another studio album. So Whoosh is, like I said, their 21st album overall in their catalog. There's a picture of the front cover. It is the third in the row that was produced by kind of the legendary producer Bob Ezrin. He also produced 2013's Now What and 2017's Infinite albums. I believe most of the recording of Whoosh took place in Nashville. It seems to be almost like a base camp for some of their recent recordings with their work with Bob Ezrin. I think they did a lot of recording of Infinite there as well. I think there was also some additional studio work done in a couple of other places, but I believe the bulk of it was done in Nashville in 2019. Was originally supposed to come out earlier this year in early June, but because of some delays related to the coronavirus pandemic, it was pushed back to early August. So we finally have it. I was highly anticipating this album, and let's take a look at what we got on here. The album opens up with what was the first single released, Throw My Bones. That song originally came out back in March of 2020. This is a great song that kicks off the album. I will say when it first was released, I wasn't completely blown away by the song. However, I might get to over the course of this review, it is similar to some of the other songs in the album in that its charm kind of reveals itself slowly and incrementally, and then it's like you absorb the song over time, and then it really clicks with you. At least that's been my experience with it. Now I can say Throw My Bones is a very strong track. It has great threading and weaving of the guitar and Don Airey's keyboards. Has a catchy chorus. Ian Gillan sounds great vocally on this album, on this song, as he does throughout all the songs on the album, even if by now he, being in his mid-70s, he does not do the famous Ian Gillan screams of yesteryears. That's fine by me. He's got a phenomenal singing voice. Still, he is a kind of a stately rock and roll gentleman now at this stage in his career, as are all of the other guys in the band. But they can still rock, and Throw My Bones is a good opener for the album. From there, we go into the song Drop the Weapon. This song wasn't really my favorite at first. It's still growing on me. I do like the breakdown in the middle. I like particularly some of the instrumental passages throughout all of the album, and this one has a strong instrumental section in the middle part. Really impressed with some of Ian Paice's drumming on this. I think Ian Paice and Don Airey, to me, are kind of the unsung heroes of this album. Ian Paice, also in his mid-70s, the only original member of Deep Purple left now, still is performing at a very high level, and you can really hear some very good drum parts in this song, particularly in that middle section. From there, we get to We're All the Same in the Dark. And this is maybe one of my top tier songs on the album. Very riff heavy kind of song. Steve Morris sounds great. Really like some of the lyrics and the theme that is touched on this song. Kind of appropriate for some of the things that we're experiencing in contemporary society in today's world. Next, we have Nothing at All, which is the last and latest single that they've released from the album. Great interplay between Don Airey and Steve Morris, which you hear a lot throughout the album, but I think that's to a higher degree in this song, almost like a call and response between Morris's guitar and Airey's keyboards. Also a kind of a good song lyrically, with a great vocal performance by Ian Gillan. After that, we go into No Need to Shout. This is probably the song that has the closest song that has a vocal snarl and a menace from Ian Gillan. Not screaming, not his signature screaming from yesteryear, but it does have a more vocal bite to it. Maybe one of the more heavier songs on the album. I like Don Airey's part in it. I kind of wish that he had changed the effect on his keyboard a little bit. It's a little more piano-y on this song, and I think that the riffiness, the edginess of the song could have been served a little better by different keyboard effects. But nonetheless, this is a good song anyway. Next, we have Step by Step, and this is one of my favorite songs on the album. This has a very almost unsettling, creepy, eerie atmosphere to it. The chords that Steve Morris is playing are kind of offsetting a little bit. You get into almost this haunted house kind of keyboard that Airey brings in the middle and latter part of the song. I like the imagery and the lyrics that Gillan is portraying, and definitely a highlight for me on the album, Step by Step. The way the album is kind of broken up is to replicate kind of like the old LPs. It's like Act 1 are the first 5 or 6 songs, and then Act 2 would be like if you had an LP, the second side, the next about 6 songs. So Act 2 begins with What the What. This is a fun song and a little different for Deep Purple. Maybe this was the influence of them recording and being in Nashville now for a while. It has a rockabilly style to it, even with a kind of a saloon style piano from Don Airey. And I find this fresh and interesting for Deep Purple at this point in their career to push boundaries, explore new topography in their music. We haven't heard anything like this that I can think of in their catalog, really. Maybe the closest thing I can think of, if you reach way back in their discography, there's a song called Painted Horse that was not released on the Who Do We Think We Are album from 1973. It was like a leftover B-side song. If any of you have heard that, you kind of know that might have this rootsier, almost southern rock vibe to it. That's the closest thing I can think of anything in their catalog off the top of my head, compared to What to What. This rockabilly, fun, high energy kind of song on this is a really nice addition. Next we have The Long Way Around. I really like this song too. This is another one of my personal favorites on the album. High energy, good tempo. I think it's got also some great instrumental passages where Pace, Airey, and Morse and Glover are just working together to create this feel for the song that is very captivating. Next we have The Power of the Moon, and this is probably my favorite song on the album. If I had to pick one song, I think Power of the Moon would be it, as far as my favorite. Also has kind of a creepy atmosphere to it, but really has a drive to it as well. And what I really am impressed with the instrumental part, middle part breakdown of this song, Power of the Moon. Next is Remission Possible. This is just a short instrumental interplay between Steve Morse and Don Airey. I think that this would have been fabulous if they expanded this, maybe added some lyrics. For what it is great, and it sets the scene for the next song, which is Man and Alive, which was the second single that they released. This song has grown on me a lot. I will admit I was not a huge fan of it the first couple of times I've heard it, but I have come to really appreciate it. I like the riffing. I like how Steve Morse seems to mix up his playing on this song, where he steps away from some of the cliches that he is kind of known for in his guitar playing. Now, he still has his signature stylings and techniques throughout this album, particularly like those super lightning fast chromatic runs up the neck of his guitar and other things as well. But this song, he gets away from a lot of that. The spoken word part has grown on me from Gillan, and I think this is also is kind of sci-fi-ish song that is also kind of apropos for the times we live in. After Man Alive, we have And the Address. Those of you who are Deep Purple fans might know that this was the very first song on their very first album from 1968, I believe, this instrumental song. They've done a slight reworking of it here, but it sounds basically the same. And you wonder if they're just trying to maybe bookend their career now. This is kind of like the last song on the last album they do, if this is indeed their last album. So you have it at the very beginning of their career in the late 60s and at the very end of their career in the 2020s. Who knows? Time will tell, won't it? And then there is a bonus track on here called Dancing in My Sleep. This is a good song. I wouldn't rate it as a top tier song on the album for me, but I do like the melodies. I like the chorus, the singing on it, and some of the keyboards. One thing I kind of wish was brought up a little bit more in the mix was Roger Glover's bass playing. When you do hear it, it's fabulous, but I kind of struggle to hear it at times in the overall mix of the songs. But he is on here. He's still continues to perform at a very high level, like they all do. Overall, Whoosh is a great addition to their catalog. Don't expect it to sound like classic Deep Purple albums from the 70s. This isn't like a replica of Burn or Machine Head or In Rock or Come Taste the Band. This is a nice addition that fits in nicely to their last 3 albums with Bob Ezrin, and it's one I think I'm going to enjoy for a long time. Take care, everyone.